You're watching Nightline. I'm Anita Wu. News making the headlines. Anwars says he will not join cabinet in event of reshuffle. And federal government is set to introduce more social welfare programs for the well-being of the people. Our opening story, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad arrived at Busan's Gimhae Air Base on Sunday to attend the ASEAN-South Korea Commemorative Summit 2019. The special aircraft carrying the Prime Minister and wife, Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali, touched down at the airport at 7:20 p.m. local time Sunday or 6:20 p.m. Malaysian time. On hand to welcome him at the airport were Korea's Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Lee Tae-ho, and South Korean Ambassador to Malaysia, Lee Chi-byom. Foreign Minister Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah and Ambassador of Malaysia to Korea, Datuk Muhammad Ashri Muda, were also present. Besides attending the commemorative summit, Tun Dr. Mahathir's itinerary in Korea comprises a long list of events, meetings and media interviews. This includes a dialogue session at the CEO Summit of 2019, Invest ASEAN, and ASEAN South Korea Startup Expo. After the summit, Tun Dr. Mahathir will undertake an official visit to Seoul from November 27th to the 28th. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim on Sunday said that he will not accept any post in the event of a cabinet reshuffle by the Prime Minister. The PKR President stressed that he would not offer himself to join Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's cabinet.
I've said I've not applied. I'm not the understanding bagi saya clear. PM, TPM dan saya tunggu.
Should you be in the cabinet first before becoming the Prime Minister?
Saya tidak bercadang.
Datuk Sri Anwar spoke to the media after opening the PKR's Reformist Convention at the Ideal Convention Centre in Shah Alam, Selangor. Also present was Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail. In his speech, the PKR president reminded party leaders and members to stop raising the issue of power transition for the post of Prime Minister. He said only the Pakatan Harapan Presidential Council could decide on the person to be appointed the 8th Prime Minister and the date for the power transition. In his speech, Datuk Sri Anwar also made a scathing remark against PKR lawmakers who meet and make clandestine deals, calling them as the definition of corruption. The PKR president, however, did not mention any names in his speech at the convention. The Port Dickson Member of Parliament, however, did not elaborate on his claims on giving projects. Our headlining story, the federal government is set to introduce more social welfare programs for the well-being of the people to be announced soon. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said the move showed the government's high commitment in reaching out to the people by expanding various programs for the benefit of the people. Lim was speaking after attending the 2019 Senior Citizen Single and Elderly Women Programme in Butterworth on Sunday, a programme launched by the Pulau Pinang government that has been running for 10 years. He said it is the result of the success of the state government in establishing a clean state government. Pulau Pinang, according to the Finance Minister, has managed to do so after ruling the state for 10 years. Lim said the federal government also needed some time and hoped that when the economy recovers, it can launch such programs or add existing programs to the welfare of the people. He also said that the government would continue to improve efforts by looking at specific sectors in need.
Then we can improve lah. I mean, well, one very
such aids, is it?
no, all those existing aids we try to improve, but the economic situation will also improve at the same time. And we are hopeful that we'll be looking at certain programs that we need also to draw out to help those who need help. So of course, no, I think this will be announced later. But I think there are certain sectors, there are certain segments which need help. So I think we will be also thinking of these programs.
The finance minister said what he wanted to emphasize was that all the promises made by Pakatan Harapan were to be fulfilled, but it took some time to implement, and that included next year's program to encourage the transition to e-wallet to enable digital payments. The government is in the midst of introducing a standard operating procedure, SOP, to ensure that guidelines on the minimum legal age for marriage are strictly adhered to. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Sri Dr. Mujahid Yusof, said the module was being prepared and once ready, all states must comply with the SOP. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail was reported as saying that the draft of the National Strategic Plan to tackle the problem of underage marriages was at its final stage. Datuk Sri Dr. Mujahid, who is also Parit Bunta MP, said although there were some states that preferred not to raise the minimum age for marriage to 18, they still must adhere to the strict SOP. Local governments have been urged to control the sale of alcoholic drinks, including putting a time limit for customers to purchase them. Deputy Health Minister Dr. Lee Boon Chye said his ministry has no authority to limit the sale of alcoholic drinks except for their alcohol content.
Ada yang mencadangkan supaya larangan di tempat-tempat tertentu ataupun di masa-masa tertentu, dan ini sepatutnya PBT berkenaan boleh buat peraturan-peraturan yang berkenaan. Tetapi dari segi minum arak semasa memandu ini memang tidak wajar dan tidak dibenarkan sekiranya mereka ingin memandu.
He was commenting on reports about drunk drivers in fatal accidents which have gone viral on social media recently. The Deputy Minister stressed that the Road Transport Department can also tighten the laws to address this issue. Dr. Lee was met after launching the Save a Life programme, an automated external defibrillator, AED machines. The AED, which is useful in helping patients having cardiac arrests, will be placed in public areas. A German company which manufactures sensor optics will invest 100 million ringgit to set up a manufacturing plant in Melaka. Melaka Exco member Datuk Muhammad Rafiq Naizam Mohidin said the investment will help provide some 500 job opportunities to the locals.
Yang mana syarikat ini merupakan pengeluar optical sensor yang ke-8 terbesar di dunia, dan juga pada ketika ini dia ada kilang di beberapa negara termasuk Amerika Syarikat, Brazil, Germany dan juga China.
Datuk Muhammad Rafiq, who is leading an investment mission to Stuttgart, Germany, said the new plant is expected to be operational by 2022. He added that Melaka has attracted some 327 million ringgit in investments from January till June this year. Of that amount, nearly 100 million ringgit is new investment, whereas the remaining 227 million ringgit to expand existing operations.
Where we do invest more or less high, so then we can provide
Former Cabinet Minister and Deputy MCA President Tan Sri Lee Kim Sai has passed away at the age of 82 on Sunday. MCA President Wee Ka Seong, in announcing this in a Facebook posting, said this was a great loss to the nation as Lee had served society in various capacities. Tan Sri Lee, who retired from politics in 1996, held a number of portfolios, including as Health Minister, Labour Minister and Housing and Local Government Minister. During his time in MCA, he was among those who objected to the appointment of senior assistants and supervisors without qualifications in Mandarin in Chinese primary schools. Tan Sri Lee leaves behind wife Puan Sri Wan Yuet Fong and 4 children. Up next after the break, elderly couple killed in apartment blaze in Ipoh. This and more home stories after the breather. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Red flags have been raised at all popular beaches in Pahang to warn beachgoers about potential strong waves during the monsoon season. State Civil Defence Force Director Zainal Yusof said Pantai Teluk Cempedak, Sepat, Batu Hitam and Balok are now closed to swimmers and have been declared unsafe for swimming activities, and people should stay away from entering the water. He said lifeguards from APM were stationed at the major beaches to warn beachgoers and attend to any emergencies at the beach. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Meteorological Department has issued a yellow weather alert in almost all areas throughout Kelantan and Terengganu, as well as several districts in Pahang, following the east wind surge expected in the region from Monday, which can bring continuous heavy rainfall. Its Director General Jailan Simon said the areas involved in Pahang were Jerantut, Maran, Kuantan, Pekan and Rompin. He said the seawater level is also expected to rise due to the high tide during the period and could pose a risk of seawater overflowing along the coast and into river mouths in these areas. Over in Perak, 2 people were killed in a fire which destroyed their apartment unit at Taman Meru Impiana in Ipoh early on Sunday. They were identified as Kamal Mustafa, an Egyptian, and his Malaysian wife Kamaria Talib, both in their 70s.
Kita dapat beberapa kronologi lah tentang aktiviti dan kita juga ada bukti-bukti CCTV. Bagaimanapun kita menunggu laporan daripada postmortem tentang sebab-sebab kematian. Sebab kalau ikut dari segi kedudukan mayat tu memang boleh katakan 100% terbakar lah.
A Perak Fire and Rescue Department spokesperson said a rescue team was dispatched to the scene upon receiving a distress call at 3:40 a.m. Their remains were found in one of the apartment's rooms. Police are carrying out a thorough probe on the fire. The bodies of the couple were sent to the Raja Permaisuri Bainun Hospital in Ipoh for post-mortem. Meanwhile, in Klang, Selangor, a 78-year-old disabled woman was also burnt to death in a fire which almost destroyed her house in Kampung Sungai Pinang. Klang Zone Fire and Rescue Department Deputy Chief Khairul Azhar A. Rahman said the charred body of Lee Lam Seng was found at the back door of the single-storey terrace house. Lee stayed with a 30-year-old son, but he was away at work when the fire broke out. Firemen received an emergency call at about 4:13 a.m. When they arrived at the scene, firemen found the charred body of the woman whose legs had been amputated, lying face down. Lee suffered 90% burns on her body. The cause of the fire and the losses suffered are still being investigated. Security threats are prevalent nowadays, more so than in any other time in our history, especially with the increase in the number of biometric methods of authentication and the sophistication of smartphone security in general. Now, if you're using your fingerprint or Face ID to unlock apps or your phone, it is advisable to not use it, as it will risk the users of losing their biometrics forever. So if you have these 2 biometric instruments as your preferred method of guarding the digital assets on your smartphone, then you might want to turn them off under these instances. According to a cybersecurity expert and ethical hacker going by the name Freaky Clown, or FC, the use of fingerprints recognition is a terrible way to secure data, as it can be easily stolen.
You can't change your fingerprints, right? Yeah. If I stole your fingerprints now, that's it, they're gone forever. And we've seen instances where massive databases of fingerprint data, especially from the US military, were actually stolen. And those people had clearances, etc. And they can never use their biometrics now for anything secure because it's been stolen.
FC, who has been hired by financial institutions to test their security by breaking in, said he gives workshops on how easy it is to lift fingerprints of people to be used. He also warns people to be wary of free platforms available, because at the end of the day, it is your data that they're after.
If you're using any platform that is free, that you're not paying for, you're the product, right? It's your data that they're using. So people like Facebook, it's a free product, but you're giving them their data. And you have to work out whether or not it's worth it for you to use that platform or not use that platform.
FC says if the users are worried about their smartphone spying and listening in on their conversations, the easiest solution is to leave it in a metal box at the door when you are at home. Although it is not something that happens often, but it can happen. At the end of the day, you're responsible for securing your own data, and once you lose it, it is out in public. The year-end school break is finally here, and many of us are looking forward to go on trips or perhaps a long getaway. But if you are a parent who's having problems planning a holiday for the entire family, this might be a fun option, one that will definitely get the approval from the kids. For some waterific fun, head over to Setia Eco Hill in Semenyih to experience the first ever Angry Birds Splash Water World. The largest mobile-themed water inflatable park in the world is now open to public, featuring the lovable characters from the hit gaming phenomenon.
Get your floats and swimming gear ready for some wet and wild time under the sun here at the Angry Birds Splash Water World. This latest family attraction, featuring the flock of flightless, furious fowls, was made possible through the collaboration of One Universal Production, Sendirian Berhad, and Finland's Rovio Entertainment Corporation.
The popular video games has come here in Malaysia, bringing splash-tastic new attraction for kids and fans of the franchise. And you get to share the experience with all the cool characters, Red, Chuck and many others. So don't forget to wear your sunscreen.
Dive in the fun on the huge inflatable water slides and obstacles, or be entertained by performances and appearances by the fine feathered avian friends. There's also a pop-up store selling Angry Birds merchandise as well as other activities for the crowds.
The highlight of the event is we actually do some very special thing. It's just that, normally when you go to some parks, right, there is the kids area, which is not the main one, right? Main one normally goes to some trailings, adults and things. But you can see that this entire park which is meant for kids. And you see there's so many rides and there's so many slides which is meant for kids. So, we really want the kids to enjoy our park. So that's why we actually spend a lot of efforts and times to do and work out something for the kids. Actually, there is not just for kids. We separate two segments, right? One which is here, another which is on another side. So when you go to another side, you actually see some slide which is something like 5-story high, right? Those are basically for adults, and we don't recommend kids to be there because all of the slide actually come with the boards to show you what is the age and what is the height that you're allowed to get into the slide. So yeah, there is a lot of slide for adults, if you ask me. A lot of attractions.
The opening of the water park was in line with the Visit Truly Asia Malaysia 2020 campaign and officiated recently by Malaysia Tourism Promotion Board Director Muhammad Akbar Setia, who has also witnessed the handover of a certificate to the organizer by the Malaysia Book of Records for being the first Angry Birds Splash Water World. The 1-hectare inflatable water park, which took about a week to set up, will be in town for only 2 months until January 5th next year before flying off to continue its journey across Asia. Only 2,000 tickets will be available daily to ensure smooth operation and a quality experience for all visitors. Alia Hamidi for Nightline TV3.
Next, after the break, dozens killed after plane crashes into residential neighborhood in Congo. Don't go away. Moving on to the foreign front, over in Democratic Republic of Congo, at least 27 people have been killed after a small passenger plane crashed into a densely populated neighborhood in the city of Goma on Sunday. According to local authorities, the aircraft, operated by local company Busy Bee, was en route to the city of Beni when it crashed shortly after takeoff from the Goma International Airport at around 9 a.m. local time. The airline local company Busy Bee, meanwhile, said there were 17 passengers and 2 crew members on board during the time of the incident. Excuse me. It is understood that residents on the ground, including 9 family members, were among the victims. The cause of the crash is still unknown, but some sources say the plane experienced engine failure right after takeoff.
moja alitoka ndani. Hakuna hata mtu mmoja anatoka mwanzo. Na ule mtoto basi alitoka Congo haikuwa ule. Wote mko humu. Ndio sasa hii banaanza degager kutosha mafuta.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson unveils his Conservative Party's manifesto on Sunday, pledging to bring back the withdrawal agreement bill before Christmas in order to achieve Brexit by the end of January. As the latest polling suggests, he is on course for a 48-seat majority win at the general election. Speaking at a rally in Telford, Shropshire, Johnson also made other key pledges, including a promise not to raise income tax and national insurance contributions or VAT. Other headline manifesto commitments are set to include a national pothole-filling programme and a pledge to raise the national insurance threshold to £9,500 in 2020, with an ambition to raise it further to £12,500, as well as an extra £250 million a year to expand childcare. As of now, Britain Elect's poll aggregator puts the Conservatives on 42%, ahead of the Labour main opposition on 29%. In China, a record number of Hong Kong voters turned out on Sunday to cast ballots in district council elections, which was seen as a barometer of the government and Chief Executive Carrie Lam's popularity. According to the Registration and Electoral Office, some 2.8 million people, or roughly 69% of the financial hub's electorate, had voted by 9:30 p.m. local time, which is far more than the 1.36 million, or 43.6%, that had turned up during the same time in 2015. The voting process surprisingly unfolded peacefully, despite concerns it could be delayed or disrupted by violence following unrest in the lead-up. The local elections were the first poll since anti-government protests escalated in June, sparked by a now-withdrawn bill to allow extraditions to mainland China. This time around, however, over in Russia, the VDNKH in Park in Moscow has been a popular spot when it comes to winter season, as it features one of the largest ice rinks in Europe, which stretches out to over 20,000 square meters. Let's have a look, bringing you some winter cheer. I'm Anita Boo. Thank you for tuning in and take care.